Tired of looking at this homemade door. It's a double door. I measured it. A 9-foot wide by 7-foot tall roll-up garage door should fit in its place. So I think I'll go to Menards and get a new door. Around between $400 and $500 I think for a new door. I think that'll add a lot to it. Check on an entrance door too. It's not a standard height. I don't know if I can trim down something from made for exterior door, but I'll take a look at that. And I have a window to replace. Here's the old window I took out. Double window, 6-foot wide, 4-foot tall, very rotted, lots of glass broken out of it. And I found this 4x4 foot window up in the haymow, used window. It's in good shape. I'll add some framework on both sides of the opening, being 6-foot wide opening for a 4-foot window. I have the entrance door framed in now with pressure treated lumber. Actually, this one here is creosote. I think it's an old bridge board of some sort. I had to cut back the siding. There's shiplap lumber underneath, really tight grain, nice lumber. Then I think the lap siding appears to be cedar. But anyway, so I put 2 boards behind here plus this 2x8. So I have just over 78 inches of clearance. I was going to remove the sill plate from the door to make it shorter, but being that it's about 82 inches high, but I've decided to take the framework apart, cut it down 3 inches, cut the door itself down 3 inches. I don't know how the door is going to turn out. It's steel, and it's got foam inside. It's going to be a mess, I'm sure, but we'll see how it goes. Cut the door out. I got 3.5 inches marked off to cut off. This might be a big mistake, but I won't know until I cut it. I put a diamond blade in the circular saw. Hopefully that makes a cleaner cut of the steel. So we'll see what happens. Well, that blade cut through it like butter. Couldn't have asked for a nicer cut. So there's the inside core of an insulated door. Got some pine on the edges. Otherwise it's just expanding foam. Well, that didn't come apart like I wanted. Those staples, they're very well anchored into the top here, so I'm gonna have to try to pry the other part so I don't bust that old pieces. I'm hoping I can glue this chunk back on and then cut it where it belongs. If I had it to do over again, I would have just cut off where I needed to, and I could have just broke the little chunks off, and I want to damage the rest of the board. I cut it down 3.5 inches, and then I had to come back and cut out these steps here. I had to use the handsaw to come in and cut this off. Now this piece should go back in. I still have to cut down the brick moldings, cut them down 3.5 inches. And I can put it together and hopefully the door fits in there. The door is now fully reassembled. It is 3.5 inches shorter than it was an hour ago. Yay, I have a door. One thin little shim down in the corner. A shim here to space it out, keep a consistent gap. Otherwise, everything appears to be plumb and square. I have a door latch now. The door actually latches and opens, Sweet. Temporary solution for filling the hole. Found a small paint can that had a lid on it. I wrapped some old tar paper around it to make it fit tight, and it fills it up pretty good, so better than nothing. Had been a 6-foot wide window. The replacement will be 4-foot wide. So it's ready for the window to go in. This window originally had plastic nail flanges around the perimeter, but due to age and such, being a used window, they broke off. So I cut some sections out of galvanized joist hangers I had laying around. So has some on the top, has some on the sides. So now it's just a matter of how am I going to lift it up. Or maybe I'll back my pickup up. I'd get it maybe 2.5 feet off the ground. That might work. I'll give that a try. Alright, I got the window in the back and I'm backed up to the wall, so I think maybe I can flip it up and get it into place. It is done. I put shutters on, being I didn't have any tan steel to put around the window. The shutters covered the vacated area, filled it all in. Had some extra vinyl trim from the house I put above the window to fill in where there was exposed underlayment, built right actually. Put some aluminum flashing underneath the window so water can't get down behind the tin. So bought a new door for this barn addition, lean-to. Concrete floor is broke up really bad and it is not flat. So I'm working on cutting out a section, a strip of concrete with my old circular saw with a diamond blade. I know it's not meant for cutting concrete, but I've used it before. This might be the end of it. Anyway, cut out enough, so I'm going to put an 8.5 foot long railroad tie in there. It won't be quite long enough, so I'll have to add some treated lumber on the ends to make it long enough. But I'll lay the railroad tie in there for a flat, level, flat surface, and that'll allow the door to seal against it. I measured the saw blade depth and I was cutting 2.25 inches deep into the concrete. So I dug down to the bottom of the concrete and it is roughly about 5 inches deep, like thick I should say, approximately. And I'm guessing it gets thinner when I come in further. They probably poured it a little thicker near the edge. So I would guess it's about maybe 3.5 inches where I cut, at least I'm hoping so. Make it easier to bust. So I will take my splitting maul, see if it will break like I want. I found a problem. There's wire mesh in the concrete, and as I said earlier, the saw cut 2.25 inches deep, and it looks like I cut right down to where the wire is, so I don't think I actually cut through the wire mesh at all. So that's gonna hold it. But I'll continue whacking at it, see what happens. So I dug partway underneath the concrete. I'll hit it some more and see if it breaks off in big chunks. Alright, it's fallen away, but apparently I'm guessing the wire mesh is still holding it together. I'll need either a big chisel used with that splitting maul to wedge it apart. Actually, my log splitting wedges might work. I'll grab one of them and see what happens. Well, that works, but you can see the steel wire mesh down in there. I actually had the wedge stuck in it for a moment, but looks like that'll work. So instead of trying to break this off with just the splitting maul, I started with just the wedge, so that when I pounded that in, it drove it straight out, and then it snapped a lot of the wire mesh just snapped right off. So this, just driving the wedge in, worked better than breaking it off first with the splitting maul, because then it just bent the wire mesh and then it didn't snap very much. Still holding it together. Anyway, I got the wedge stuck in here now, so maybe tomorrow or another day at least I'll bring a big crowbar and then I'll pry this stuff apart, and then it'll be ready for the railroad tie. That big pry bar took care of that for the most part. There's apparently a floor drain in here. Got that pipe I need to cut off. Looks like it comes back, I guess, to this divot in the concrete and scraping dirt away. Looks like indeed there was a floor drain there. So I dug it down, laid a 2x4 down there, and I got it so the level says that it's level. I have it down about 9.5 inches on the right side, and it's about 8.5 inches deep on this end. The tie itself is 9 inches high, so it'll be a little bit below the concrete on this side, a little bit above on that side. At least that's my intention, if I can get that heavy beast in here. Chunk of concrete broke off and it's hanging it up. Alright, the railroad tie is in. It's approximately 8 foot 8 inches long. It's not real tight. There's a decent gap there because I didn't get all the concrete broke away here. That's partially what holds it out, but it's actually pretty good right where it's at. With this gap, I can at least feed sand back into it, get compacted underneath the concrete. Otherwise, there'd be a big void underneath the edge of the concrete. This face of the railroad tie isn't perfectly flat, so it's difficult to tell for certain how level it is, but it comes out to my measurement, so it should be good. I'm guessing this face where the railroad irons would have been on the rails, it's probably much flatter and smooth as opposed to the side edge, but this should work well. So it's backfilled. I was able to bury all the concrete chunks right alongside the railroad tie. I put gravel over it. Some heavy rain will compact the soil around the concrete chunks, so I'll need to use some more of this gravel after it's settled some. For now, I'll just leave it as is. It's like I open up a can of worms here, or in this case, a can of Asian beetles. Wall's infested with them. Anyway, so working on this lean-to, the wall is bulged out and no support there, and it's pushed the wall to the left so it's not plumb. So I wanted to pull this wall back, but then I dug into this wall. They had some old masonite lap siding covering it. So I pulled that off, and then I found this. Bought a pair of floor jacks this morning so I can raise up the hay mall floor. The wall was rotted. Some of these floor joists for the hay mall had settled, so I will stick another one up of another jack and raise this 4x4 beam up to raise at least 3 of these up. And I can knock these patched studs, get rid of these old studs, just patch to fair here, and rebuild it. So I got some of these floor joists raised up some, have them off this header plate here. Yeah, this wall really bad. So these are stubbed in, but the bottom plate was totally rotted away. So these were contacting the concrete foundation, and of course they're untreated and totally rotted off. Pretty pathetic looking. There's nothing left of them. So I don't know what was holding these floor joists up, because the wall, I don't know, it was so bad. I guess just rotten wood was holding it up to some extent. So aside from rot, apparently when cattle were in here, dairy cows, I don't know what was last in here, but they really ate away at these 2x6 studs. It's bizarre how far they would eat into these things. Just look at that. They chewed and chewed and chewed and chewed. They chewed until there was nothing left of this one. Well, like half an inch material. They chewed so much of the wood away. Pine must taste good. Yeah, this one's not there at all anymore. It's bizarre. If they should have had planking up on the inside, then that wouldn't have happened. Look at the tightness of that grain. That is some really nice pine. Maybe it's spruce, I'm not certain. But I don't know if I've ever seen grain that tight before. It has some very old growth trees apparently. This is from a stud I cut off here. So I'll sweep off the top of the foundation, lay down a treated plate, then build studs up. So I have the wall reframed. I have a treated plate at the bottom here. And then I anchored it to the concrete foundation with some self-tapping screws. I drilled, with a carbide bit, I drilled 3/16 diameter hole into the concrete. Then the screws are 1/4 inch self-tapping. They're specifically made for concrete anchoring. I put 2 in, one there, one over here. There was an existing bolt sticking up here. I just drilled a hole so it could protrude through. The foundation isn't level. That's why there's a gap under the plywood. I'm going to fill in with some treated blocks of wood, and I can nail the bottom edge of the plywood. Then I put in a stud here on the end of this section of wall. I put a plate down there and fasten that to the foundation with 2 concrete screws as well. So that should be well anchored. The studs over here, I put them directly underneath the floor joists so they're well supported. And I need to straighten out this lean-to. It's leaning towards the left, the door opening is, because it's separating from the barn. But in the process of working on this, I found that the bottom plate is rotted out. So I'll replace that plate with treated lumber and refasten these studs. I don't know what these studs are made of. They're repurposed wood, and they had big round wood rods sticking through. I don't know if it's was initially a playground jungle gym or what the right spacing for a ladder, but I can't imagine these were for a ladder. They're awfully broad pieces of wood for a ladder. But I don't know if it's, I'm guessing it's cedar. Some very nice lumber, very stout. Got the wall jacked up, got the weight off bottom plate, and got the plate removed. There's an existing stud here. The nut came right off, so I can reuse that. Got an old creosote board here, creosote treated. It's should do a good job. I already had a hole in it in the perfect place to align with that bolt. What are the odds? Amazing. I'm going to put one more fastener in here. I already drilled a 3/16 hole through the board. Now I got this carbide concrete bit. That'll go through or down deep enough for a screw. Hope that's deep enough. I must hit a hard rock in the concrete. If it's not deep enough, it sure is close. So here's a screw. It's 2 1/4 inches long. goes deep enough. That's all it is. I'm going to try to get these studs plumb, the frame around the garage door. I let the jack down a little bit to put a little bit of weight on this one thick stud here. And I got a tow strap hooked up here. So I'm going to winch on the bumper or the hitch on my pickup and try to get that, that stud right there plumb. Shouldn't take too much to get plumb. April 27th, Sunday afternoon. Put a garage door up. It's nearly completed. I need a pair of 3/8 inch diameter bolts to finish the spring lift assembly. Got the springs all tensioned where I want them. I went to the hardware store on Anemia, bought a latch because the door didn't come with a latch. So watch this. Of course it's not going to work now. Okay, watch. Bam. There. So without the latch, the door would not stay down at all. It would stay at this height. I got the weather stripping around the perimeter of the door. So I think I am done with the door, finally. Scrap metal cleanup day. Got the old rusty trusty truck to haul away the scrap metal. Got it loaded up, cleaned out the barn. There's some all way back in the yard by the river. Up in the hay mow, up in the barn. Bits and pieces everywhere. So I got all that I could find. So when this thing is level full, it's gonna be a mess. But I suppose there's probably $2 worth of scrap metal here. Bought in 18 pounds of aluminum cans for $7.60, and the iron I had in the back I got $23 for. That's a lot more than I expected. I put white primer on some of the trim, that makes it look a little better on the barn. I got the gravel cleaned out of the lean-to. So once I get the inside cleaned out, it can be used for something. This turtle sandbox had been out by the river, so I brought it up. I don't have any use for it, but I think I'll stick it in the barn. Hopefully somebody can make use of it. It appears to be in good condition.